Hello and welcome to A Star to Steer Her By, episode... Oh fuck, what episode is
173.
this? 173?
Ah!
I'm Chris.
Delayed
and
reaction there.
Yeah. I'm Chris, and joining me as always are...
Ames.
Caitlin?
Maybe Jake.
We're all very unsure.
Who knows?
The world is still berserk.
The world is still berserk. We're still doing this virtually.
And who boy, is it going to be great in 4 years?
Yeah, I was going to say, and apparently Star Trek has correctly predicted exactly what life is going to be like in 4 years, so that's disconcerting.
Yes.
Yeah, somehow the technology goes back in time.
Well,
I was really angry.
Attritional.
I was really angry at their computers. I was like, bullshit, we got Surface Pros now, bitch.
What are we talking about, Chris?
Yes, exactly what I was about to segue to. If you haven't guessed yet, we are talking about the eerily prescient past tense, parts 1 and 2.
Woo!
So, in past tense, the Defiant is going to Earth to talk at some sort of symposium about the Gamma Quadrant. But due to technobabble, when Sisko, Bashir, and Dax beam down to Earth, they also beam down through time and wind up in Frisco 2024.
August 31st.
I think it's the 30th.
30th.
It's the 30th.
It were
August
bad
30
times.
something.
Yes, it's August 30th, 2024. Frisco has an insane homelessness problem.
Insane and homeless.
Insane in the membrane.
Yeah,
Insane
the gap between rich and poor is worse than it's ever been. Like I said, eerily prescient.
Pretty Connecticut up in this bitch.
Yeah. So, Sisko and Bashir are swept up by the local fuzz who...
Racist? Yes!
Oh, goodness, yes. Who, it's illegal to sleep outside, and they bring them to the sanctuary. But it's not like a sanctuary city as you and I think of it, where, it's cities who are like, fuck off, we won't hand over our undocumented immigrants. This is where we put people who don't have jobs, where we pretend to care for them, but really don't. Meanwhile, Dax got lucky. Whereas Sisko and Bashir got beamed down next to a subway entrance, she was beamed down at the foot of it, and found by David Bowie's stunt double.
Chris Brinner.
Yes, Brinner, who turns out to be like some kind of telecom...
He's basically Elon Musk, right?
No, he seems to be strictly telecom. Like, he's more, I don't know, I guess he feels like a less...
Who's the guy that has Virgin Mobile?
Yeah,
Branson.
Maybe kind of like him, Branson, except even he wants to go to space.
I want to go to space.
Yeah, who doesn't?
Yes, but all of today's trillionaires want to go to space. He doesn't. He just wants to be internet guy.
Brinner does?
And yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's all about, like, the internet and various... He goes on about his licenses and everything. He got a stupid tattoo in the 90s. But, so Jadzia gets to go to fancy parties with asshole rich people and get a silly haircut in an ugly 2024 suit.
And guys...
Ugly? Fuck you! She looked great.
And apparently Europe was really having some trouble too.
Yeah, falling to pieces.
Wild.
Well, the jacket was good. I didn't like the vest or the neck thing, but we'll get to that.
I just thought her hair was awful.
Oh, the hair was terrible.
Yeah,
Very
bad hair.
flapper, but in a bad way. Anyway, meanwhile...
Not even flapper, it was fucking Lord Farquaad.
Meanwhile, Bashir and Sisko are literally slumming it. They get checked into this place, and it's... they have to spend their first night sleeping rough because they can't find anywhere indoors. Sisko's like, Julian, I know you're upset, but for Christ's sakes, don't fuck with history.
Oh, Garrick would have let him fuck with history like, whoa.
So hard.
He misses Garrick so much.
So much. But, they then, have to let Johnny Depp rob a guy.
Kill a guy.
Nearly, yeah. They end up befriending this dude Wells when
Webb.
Julian's all... Webb, I mean, thank you.
Oh, wait, I have a question, though. Why don't they want to alter history? What's the big fucking deal?
I'll get to that. But this is a fucking complex episode.
Can they just kill Edith Keeler again? Is that an option?
Not this time.
Damn
no.
it!
So, they befriend this dude Webb because his son is, injured, but Julian's like, don't worry, as long as this doesn't get infected, he'll be fine. And it doesn't, so he's fine. So Sisko has worked out, that this is very shortly before the infamous Bell Riots, which finally kind of clued people into how horrible these sanctuary areas were, and would begin sort of social change just in time for World War III to really force everyone's hand. So
yeah, the timeline becomes very interesting. We'll have to talk about that.
Yeah, but it all gets kicked off when some people at Processing Center are taken hostage, and this guy, Gabriel Bell, famously keeps any of them from being killed. The place gets stormed because of rumors of the hostages having been killed, though, and Bell dies in the process, and it's this whole thing. Everything goes horribly wrong when Johnny Depp appears again, BC.
Biddle.
And,
Biddle Coleridge.
Yes, Biddle Coleridge.
Fucking guy. Ah, god
really,
damn that guy.
Really has a thing for Errol Flynn, apparently.
And Jadzia.
Yeah, but who doesn't in this fucking show?
Benjamin. Benjamin does not, thank God.
And rightly so. Anyway, he goes to, rob Julian, and a fight breaks out, and this random guy shows up and helps, and gets stabbed, and oh fuck, it's Gabriel Bell, and he's dead. Shortly thereafter,
And it's all Sisko's fault.
Kind of. And so then, when the hostage crisis actually happens, Sisko shows up claiming to be Bell. Julian's all, but Bell's supposed to die, and Sisko's like, oh yeah.
There is this great shot of him having the realization of oh, yeah, fuck.
I didn't think this through.
Just because no one knows I'm not Bell, and he's starting to think about bootstrap paradoxes, I'm sure.
What's of that?
We'll get to that. It basically
finish the synopsis. Okay, we'll finish.
That's what I was gonna do.
Do it.
He's trying really hard, in spite of us.
It's a two-parter. They're hard.
Yeah. So then most of the second episode is just Ben playing the role of Bell, keeping BC from killing any hostages. Webb, who was already trying to be a community organizer anyway, gets pulled into this and becomes him and Sisko as Bell sort of become the face of it. Jadzia, meanwhile, works out, they might be in this sanctuary district, so she breaks in through the sewers. Ron Howard kidnaps her and brings her to...
Clint.
Yes, Clint Howard kidnaps her and brings her to BC. She's allowed to leave because she's like, oh man, I bet David Bowie would let you get on the internet and tell your story.
Which one are we saying is David Bowie?
Chris Brenner.
Brenner, okay.
Yeah.
I am not seeing it,
He doesn't look anything like David Bowie.
Well, I the first time I said it's David Bowie's stunt double, because he's got a very similarly shaped head.
As
David
double?
Bowie did his own stunts.
Did he?
No, I don't know.
But yeah, he looks quite a bit like 80s Bowie.
Okay, go on. Brenner.
Yeah, Brenner. So Ben's like, yeah, no, I remember history said, the residents were able to get online and tell their stories, but we're blocked out, and Jadzia's like, oh, I know who can help, and again, really, you're starting to realize, wait a minute. So she gets back to Brenner, who's all like, I'll lose my license, and I want to, but, he wants to do the right
and
thing,
she's got
also
tits.
it'll be good ratings.
Because he had a tattoo once, guys. He had a tattoo once, and now he's
crazy.
a sellout.
So people are on there telling their stories. That thing, these sanctuary things are largely, no one there is a criminal. They don't allow criminals in there. They're people who just don't have work or are very mentally ill.
Except that one that Lee let in. Lee!
Yes. History eventually happens. The National Guard busts in. They kill some unnamed extras. And BC.
Thank God.
And Webb.
Oh, wait, did BC die? How did I miss that?
Because it was so quick and you didn't get to enjoy it as much as I wanted to.
Yeah, I was going to say, because, they definitely telegraphed it, right? With, the hat and, the looks good on you, kid, whatever.
Yeah.
Plus, he was psycho the whole time, so you knew it was coming.
Was.
But I totally missed it.
And then this cranky old guard jumps out to be like, we're not dead, you idiots! And Ben jumps in the way of a bullet, but it's not fatal. And then,
Just-
as they're all kind of leaving, the guard has finally had a change of heart to be like, wow, this does kind of suck. Is there anything we can do? You saved my life. And Ben's like, you could let us go. He's like, okay, here, give me your ID cards. I'll tell everybody you died. And Ben's like, nice, loophole.
Remember, the name is Gabriel Bell.
Cannot
Gabriel
emphasize
Bell,
that
got
enough.
it?
But this is my face. In fact, take my picture so that everyone knows it's my
Yeah.
face.
Yeah.
Hang on a
And that's-
second,
yes.
Chris. What has everyone on Deep Space Nine been doing all this time?
Stupid bullshit.
I don't know, but because they've been on the Defiant. Yeah, there was a very minor B plot.
What a fucking
where...
pedant.
I don't know. Quark called up at one point.
Oh, that's right, he did.
Ah,
But
Just
that
a
was very early
reminder
on.
that it's in my writer to be in this episode, says Armin Shimmerman.
I mean, it legit might have been like, oh shit, we're required to put Armin in X number of episodes per season.
You think I was joking?
yeah. This is also one of very few episodes that don't have any scenes on Deep Space Nine. Both of them.
That's true.
Both episodes.
True.
So yes, on DS9, they're trying to figure out where the crew went.
On the Defiant.
On the Defiant. Damn it, Ames, you fucked me up.
Well, you deserve it because you were such a prick about it before.
That is true. But I didn't mean it.
I know.
I did.
What was I
dear.
saying? Oh, yeah.
On the Defiant.
So O'Brien, like, kind of works everything out. He's like, oh, chronotons and fucking subspace anomalies and doodly-doo. So they start beaming to random points. Their plan is to beam to random points in time and try to find them. And Starfleet's like, no. But then Starfleet vanishes because timeline.
Yep, they went the way of Marty McFly in that picture.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, or it's almost like a cold run for first contact. So since Starfleet isn't there to tell them to not do it, they do it.
Yeah. Very City on the Edge of Forever, too.
Yeah. They eventually beam to the right place after some comedy, in air quotes, moments. And yeah, it's really not important.
Very important,
And then
Chris means.
Back on the ship, Julian's all like, hey, so I looked up Gabriel Bell, Sisko, and look! And sure enough, there's Sisko. In
Look
a
at
picture
this
where
handsome mug.
did that picture come
He
from? 'Cause as far
posed
as
at
we know-
JCPenney.
Yeah, because like the only picture we know was taken of him was in the processing center, which was indoors, and he was,
It was a
still
mug
in
shot.
his
And every
and he was
other
still in his
Somebody
uniform.
put on a Zoom background for him.
Well, yes, but he was
Topical.
also at that in the photo in the history book. He's in civilian clothes, not his uniform. So it's weird.
Oh, you know what? It could have maybe maybe it was
A really
like
good CG artist's
Oh, we don't
depiction,
have a
like-
good picture of this guy.
Or we have the one from his processing center, so we'll create a portrait of what he would have looked like during the riots.
Yeah, but that doesn't make sense because they showed the body. They have a dead body that presumably depicts. They could have said, "Oh, this is Bell." They would know that that wasn't what he looked like.
But that Bell had lost his ID
No,
card.
but-
Face.
Ben had it at
Lost
that
his
point.
face.
No,
But
they
yeah,
put Bell's
yeah, they
ID
put-
card with that dead person. So Sisko's picture shouldn't have wound up in the books.
Yeah, so
I mean, not that I'm saying
somewhere
a
there are
picture of a
two
dead
dead
dude
bodies of randos. One
Yeah.
of them has Julian Bashir's name, and the other one has Gabriel Bell's name.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, though, what really matters is it is very obvious that this is how this always happened.
But is it?
There's no way to know.
Because the thing is, the only way they could have got online was with the help of, what's his name again? Brinner. And the only person that would have convinced him to do that was Jadzia.
Well, yeah, I agree with that, and that's what I think is a big plot hole here, because, I don't know,
So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy kind of a thing?
if Sisko's
Right, yeah.
photo was in the encyclopedia the whole time, wouldn't Sisko at one point have been like, man, I look an awful lot like Gabriel Bell?
Did we ever check? Did you ever check what the original
I mean,
photo looked like?
he seemed to be a big fan of Bell's.
That's true.
And also, I don't know, man.
So
So Sisko knew that Bell was supposed to die. So the only reason Bell died during the thing was because Sisko made that up. Yeah,
What? I'm lost. Now I'm
there's
lost.
a definite
Like I said, there's
paradox
definitely there's a lot of predestination paradox shit going on in this.
yeah.
I had other problems that I think we'll get to as well.
Were most of them BC?
No, I didn't mind BC.
Oh, God. We'll get to BC.
I mean, I didn't like BC.
So none of the 10,000 people in the sanctuary district ever just figured, I bet we could sneak out through the sewers.
That's another big plot
Well,
hole.
no,
That seems easy.
Jadzia had to reprogram her ID card to get her through the underground checkpoints.
There's an underground check. Okay, I missed that there's an underground checkpoint.
I missed that part too.
Well, yeah, there's probably locked gates, some sort of shit down there so they can't get through.
Yeah, like, it's probably not guarded actively, but there was some sort of locked gate she had to hack her way around.
Oh, okay. They should have made
seems
that
like
a scene.
that seems also like the police should have used that to sneak in, infiltrate the registration center, and just take out the hostage or take out the
and
baddies.
look up what Gabriel Bell looks like.
Well, I mean,
but why do that? You can just burst in guns blazing and feel like a big man.
that's true.
They do love that.
Apparently, Waco never happened in this timeline, or the Attica riot.
I mean, you see what pigs do in our timeline, right?
Yeah, Jake brings up the Attica riot. I don't know if it's just because you like the Attica riot or because I watched 2 movies and a documentary.
It was setting you up.
Oh my god, did you watch Dog Day Afternoon?
No, because that's not about
Damn
Attica.
No, that's
I know,
just
but
a
it
bank
comes up, and
robbery
it's a
movie.
hostage crisis.
And also, it wasn't free on Amazon, so I wasn't going to watch
Not very realistic, if you ask me. Did you watch Swordfish?
it. What is swordfish?
Oh, boy.
Password swordfish.
Part of the reason I think that Chris mentioned Dog Day Afternoon and the reason that I jumped off of that is Swordfish is because in Swordfish, briefly, Hugh Jackman is a hacker. He gets enlisted, but thank you. He gets enlisted by John Travolta to help him make a big virus thing because they've got a whole hostage plan to, like, get money. I don't really know what the plan is, but at any rate, at the beginning of the film, which is actually...
It really wants to be a Tarantino movie.
Ooh.
It actually isn't. The thing is,
I
though, it's
want
not
it to.
the beginning of the movie. Isn't the beginning of the movie? It's a cut flash forward to the middle. What is that
My
called?
God.
In Tabula Rasa.
Tabula Rasa. Yeah, that one. So it's in Tableau Roses, and John Travolta is doing this fucking monologue about how hostage movies are stupid. Which is, haha, wow, this movie is so clever. But in the monologue, he references Dog Day Afternoon as being a totally implausible scenario, and it's like, it's based on true events. It was the worst possible one he could have chosen. He's like, oh, really? He doesn't start shooting hostages? Oh, I don't get no van now or whatever? And it's like, oh, no.
Yeah, it's like the reason he didn't do these things in the movie is because that's what the person didn't do in real life.
Maybe it was a lampshade. Yeah.
No, this was just a bad movie. Like, again, it's like, starting midstream.
Can't confirm it is a bad movie, but it's
John Travolta.
Yeah, but I love
Swordfish
it.
is terrible.
Oh yeah, like it's one of those like hysteric. It's a fun bad. But yeah, it starts midstream with John Travolta monologuing about movies. It so obviously wants to be Tarantino.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Would Tarantino have done it better?
Oh yes, because
probably.
First of all, he would have picked a movie that wasn't based on real life. And second of all, after having his movie talk about how unrealistic hostage movies are, wouldn't then have a scene so ludicrous a James Bond film wouldn't do it.
Neat.
But that's neither here or there.
Yeah, so
Watch
you're saying Swordfish references Dog Day Afternoon, and Dog Day Afternoon references Attica.
So much.
So the movies I actually watched were actually about Attica.
Okay.
I watched a documentary called The Big House, which cut off at the end for some reason. Fucking Amazon Prime. But then I also watched Against the Wall, which is, basically just straight up about the Attica riots and all this stuff. And it's a reenactment kind of a thing with Samuel L. Jackson as one of the rioters, who's kind of an amalgamation of several different actual historic figures. And also, I've lost his name, Kyle MacLachlan.
With the hair.
With the hair? Oh,
With the hair.
With the hair. Sure.
He's got great hair. In Dune, anyway.
Oh, well, he's lovely. He plays a fresh-faced new prison guard, correction officer, who gets himself taken hostage and beaten the hell up and makes friends with Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh, fun.
And I watched this movie and I'm like, wow, they sure must have taken a lot of liberties with this movie. And then I read up about it and realized, oh, no, they didn't. They actually tried to get this as right as they could. And, the character that Kyle MacLachlan's character is based on was a real guy that they brought in and who, stuck around when he didn't need to and, helped out. And it's like, oh, my God, I did not expect this to be more realistic than I thought it would be because it's really fucking crazy. And then the other movie I watched, specifically because it stars Alan Alda, It's called
Hawkeye.
I love Alan Alda.
He's lovely. It's called The Killing Yard. And it's not about the riots, it's kind of about the legal process afterwards because... So, at the tail end of the riots, a lot of the stuff that happened in past tense happened, in that the government just swarms in instead of continuing with the negotiations, which were entirely fucking reasonable. Yeah. They swarm in, they drop tear gas, they open fucking fire on every fucking buddy, and kill a bunch of guards by accident because they were just there. And the state afterward tried to blame the killing of the guards on the prisoners. They said, oh yeah, their throats were slashed, they were told the prisoners got them. But actually, they were faking the coroner report or some shit because there were no fucking knife slashes, they were bullet holes. So it's like, no, you guys did this. What? Yeah. And Alan Alda is lovely in it.
It never goes well when the government storms the gates.
Yeah, no. And yet they keep doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine why.
Yeah, it was fucking one of the Rockefellers, whichever one was governor of New York at the time, who was like, no, I don't want to go down there and try to make peace with them. Just send in the Guard. Jesus Christ.
Well, that's the problem, right? Like, the National Guard, who's, is the group that they send in the episode, too. Yeah. That's like a military force.
Yeah.
So they're going to do military shit. They're going to shoot people.
Yeah. The one time the government doesn't go in guns blazing is when a bunch of armed white dudes fucking take over a federal building. Weird.
Yeah, interesting. Must be a coincidence.
Yeah.
Clearly. But yeah, like the actual hostage taking, like the actual historic significance and a lot of the themes of this episode are really, really cool. I just get caught up in a lot of specific things that I remember really liking this episode, and then rewatching it again, I felt like I got so lost in exposition nonsense.
This time around, you mean?
Yeah, this time around, especially watching part 1, where I feel like half the episode is Sisko and Bashir walking down a street while Sisko explains history to Bashir. And I'm like, wow, you didn't need any of this. Show, don't tell.
Yeah, well, in some of it, I'll admit, there are moments... overall, I liked it, and I think it's important messaging, but sometimes the messaging went from well done to after-school special levels of unsubtle.
Yeah, like when?
I don't know, I didn't think so.
But there were a few moments of, kind of looking off into the distance and,
it didn't have to
you know
be
who
this
it was?
way.
It was Bashir. Yeah. Bashir was the problem, because he's like...
Well,
it makes you wonder why they let it get like this.
Well, yeah, I mean, here's the thing, though. That dialogue can only be delivered so well. I do not blame...
No. I'm not blaming the actor. I'm saying that Bashir is the one who gets the majority of that after-school special shit. It's like when Wesley asked... about
drugs.
About why anyone would want to do drugs.
But drugs...
See, in reality, what the show didn't expect was we actually have the opposite problem, where the government gets to brag about, until recently, brag about how low unemployment is, but what they don't mention is that everyone is working 3 jobs to still not make ends meet.
Yeah, it's funny, if I kind of always thought that this episode was prescient, and I don't remember what it was. There was some event 1,000 years ago during the Trump administration where I was like, man, this is so much like past tense.
In fact, there's Sisko now.
Yeah,
I don't even remember what it was.
I think it was just his getting elected. We were like, oh fuck, this is gonna lead to the Bell Riots.
But yeah, if you'd asked me this isn't a terribly realistic thing, but specifically now after the coronavirus and everything, and unemployment is on the up and the economy's not looking so great, I could totally buy some of this stuff.
Yeah, they're going to put coronaviruses in the camps, coronavirus victims in the camps instead, though. And
I mean, even if it's not the unemployment situation, it's the income inequality is really what's on display.
Yeah. It's nuts.
Where you have
that fucking guard who won't shut up was definitely a Trump supporter.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know what I read, which is wild, is that during filming, an article came out describing that the Los Angeles mayor was proposing to move the homeless into fenced-in areas to make LA look friendlier for business. And they had already been working on this script, and the writers of Star Trek were looking at this like, oh my God, this is very appropriate. And people kept asking them if they had that in mind. Like, no, we'd already started work on this script before this came out.
That's fucking awful. People are fucking monsters.
True.
Yep.
You can see how much of it was based in, like, just reality, you know? Like, there basically is no mental health system in this country anymore. You know, it was gutted in the 80s.
Yeah. Yeah, and San Francisco is like
result.
It already, you know, is sort of the poster city for that. You know, if you've ever been to San Francisco,
extraordinary gentrification and homelessness.
Yeah, the
issues.
homeless in San Francisco, it's unbelievable when you're there.
Yeah, and they're not doing a damn thing about it except making increasingly unfriendly architecture.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Yeah.
It's what Jesus would have wanted.
Yeah, so I could totally buy in the next 5 years herding all of the homeless into a frickin' camp.
Yeah, well, the oligarchs don't want to look at them.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there's also this
You know,
whole
those two
element
little
of
assholes.
like the Kafka-esque nature of this whole thing where you're in this and in order to get out you have to go through this massive bureaucracy that just
It's kind of
doesn't work.
catch-22.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you have to have a job to get out of the sanctuary district, but you're in the sanctuary district because you don't have a job. And Milo Binder is here selling you eggs
and Egyptian cotton, trying to figure out if he coats it in chocolate, does it become edible?
Delicious. He was great. I love him. But
I have to read Catch-22 one of these days.
It's fucking brilliant. I love it. I was going to go off on a different
Everyone
tangent.
that I've ever talked to who knows it has said that.
Yeah, it's so smart.
Catch-22 is the book that proved to me that, what was his name? He passed away recently.
Heller? Joseph Heller?
No, that's the author.
Well, yeah, I know, that's why. That was
a lot of people
guess.
passed away recently, Chris.
Vonnegut?
Dude, do you guys hear about fucking Little Richard today?
Literally.
Yes, I had thought he'd already died. I'm not sure why.
I was also sort of surprised he was still alive, but that's not
But
the
there was
point.
this obnoxious literary critic who I first encountered in 11th grade. He wrote that just Catch-22 was completely irrelevant, and it's like, you're a fucking idiot.
Yes, true.
Catch-22 is always relevant.
That would be like saying 1984 is irrelevant when we're living in it daily.
Like, maybe it felt less relevant, because this essay he'd written was from, like, the late 90s, and it's like, yeah, maybe it felt a little less relevant then, but if you couldn't find relevance of Catch-22 in any time, you're a fucking fool. And I wish I could think of the guy's name. He was terrible.
You'll find it and you'll link it on the Facebook.
It was just obvious that he was one of those assholes who thought that literature began and ended with Shakespeare. And,
Gross.
like, the further you were from Shakespeare, the less chance he gave it. He also really loved Austen for some reason.
The city? Oh.
No, the author.
Nice.
Good job,
Who
Ames.
doesn't love Austin?
I've never been. But anyway, I was going to say, so the original story or the original pitch for this episode, which they didn't really go too far into, the working title was Cold and Distant Stars, which is pretty. It's very City on the Edge of Forever. But it would have featured Sisko going back in time and people assuming he was crazy because he kept saying that he's a spaceman from the future. So they had to push.
Do that?
So they had to push Thorazine on him until he was homeless.
And then O'Brien finds him. Turns out it's actually O'Brien's great-great-great-great-grandfather, the cryogenics engineer, who freezes Sisko, and then they dig him up in the present day.
Although, I do wonder, because, I mean, that's idiotic, because there's no reason Sisko would claim he's a spaceman. But I kind of wonder if that germ of an idea would lead to an actual good episode later that I can't think of the title
Far
of,
Beyond the
but
Stars.
Thank you, Jake. Which we'll get to, and you'll understand why I think maybe they ran with that and made it not stupid.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so that was that's Far Beyond the Stars is notable for being Avery Brooks's favorite episode of the series.
That's the kind of meta one?
Yeah.
I love that episode.
What else this week?
So many things this week.
I know. It's just Jonathan Frakes directing episode 2.
He did, and apparently this is the work that secured him getting to direct First Contact.
Oh, look at that.
Nice.
He did a good job.
Yeah, I thought episode 2. I mean, the writing in both these episodes was a little meh for a lot of it. As you already mentioned, the exposition was a little heavy-handed. I found what's his fuck? I keep forgetting the guy's
Biddle?
name. No, the
Who are you talking
the rich
about?
guy.
Oh, Brenner.
Brenner. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of found the whole Jadzia Brenner thing a little like I don't think the episode would have suffered without any of that.
It would not.
I mean,
because it starts off in a totally disgusting foot. He's like, oh, it's not every day I get to rescue a damsel in distress. Like, why is that always Jadzia? As I was watching him approach her and start talking to her, I was like, and then she falls in love with him and she stays in the past. Like,
yeah,
she's secretly Edith Keeler the whole time.
Just fuck off.
And then like they
Jesus,
didn't even bother to resolve that plot line. Like they didn't make an ending
Not
for
really.
it.
Well,
like,
that's because they know that the rich man wasn't going to change.
Yeah. They had 2 episodes to do this across, too.
I think it mostly was there just so they could have the party scene, to have those 2 douchebags be there.
I did like those douchebags.
like,
They were great douchebags.
They were so punchable.
Yeah, it's true that like it wasn't. I guess it was important to see the income inequality situation.
Yeah, to see pretty white lady gets catered hand and foot.
They didn't do enough with it.
But
maybe.
Yeah, I don't think Jadzia really needed to be in this episode. I don't think she did a lot.
She wore that feather well.
And the thing, this is another situation where they pair Terry Farrell, who's not great actor, with another actor who was not very good.
That's how I knew they were going to fall in love.
And the result were like these really stiff, poorly acted scenes that just didn't jive with the rest of the episode.
See, I just kind of assumed
was stiff.
Yeah, I assumed that was just because they're so rich they don't even have to act.
Yeah,
that's how rich these assholes are. Oh, I didn't even know sanctuary cities were still a thing.
Yeah, no,
they're right there.
Sanctuary districts.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah, well, I mean, the whole point of that was to be like, oh yeah, these fucktards are so up in their ivory tower they don't even see the bullshit that's going on. So Gabriel Bell, and that's another thing that wasn't really resolved in the episode that maybe could have been in some way was, a scene with, Brenner and his friends watching the TV broadcast and being like, oh my God, shit's going down. Oh my God, I can't believe the sanctuary district is as fucked up as it is.
Oh no, the economy.
Yeah. Look at all those customers that don't have money to buy our shit. So I don't know. I feel like the message, like they tried to just wrap it up too quickly at the end, and they did a little bit of a tell and not a show when they could have shown us more.
So why is it so rushed at the end when they had 2 episodes to space this out during?
I'm gonna guess it's because the writers aren't very good.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah, I know that they spaced it out because they realized as they were writing it that the hostage situation, which was, the most important climactic part of the whole episode, they didn't get to that if it were a 1 episode until like Act 4, and then they would have to super rush that. So I guess they decided, oh yeah, let's space this out over 2 episodes so that we can have a whole episode that's nothing but hostages.
Yeah, but I think they could have trimmed out some of episode 1. I think there was a lot of that could have just been glossed over, and they could have got to the hostage situation earlier. I still think it could have. I still think it works as a 2-parter, but I would have liked to have trimmed some of the fat out in the hostage situation. I mean, I would even have been better.
She looks great, Ames. How dare you?
I would have been okay with the Dax scenes if they had actually more with them and came back around to them.
Are you saying you wish that she could have been redacted?
Yeah. I also kind of wish it was made more clear, and maybe this is just because I'm a dum-dum.
I mean, that's definitely
that it was a paradox, because as it is, I kind of was like, oh, it's just a big old plot hole.
Wait,
I'm pretty sure this is a predestination paradox through and through.
Yeah, no, I think you're right in retrospect, but at first I'm like, but wait a minute, did they not turn off the internet during when Bell was the guy?
Bashir is his own grandpa. That explains some things. I actually did like Bashir a lot in this episode because I know, like,
when his dialogue wasn't bad, he was good.
When they talked with Siddig El Fadil afterwards, he said, "Yeah, this is where my character kind of like starts becoming better.
Yeah, not a.
And I hope we see him being less creepy because he did a great job not creeping on that hostage woman. He did such A+ gold star for Julian for not hitting on the hostage.
Agreed. He was totes normal, and it was very nice.
He was a doctor instead of just playing doctor.
Yes.
Yeah, and I liked her a lot.
Lee?
Her story that she had about the woman that she kind of helped go under the radar.
Yeah, up until she told that story, I kept looking at her like, oh, good, our female prop is here, being a female prop, until she tells the story. And
I didn't think that. I thought she was good.
She was good, but, every time before we kind of, like, got to have a conversation with her, it was like, oh, scream and cry. Oh, BC's here in your face. Do a scream and cry.
Well, to be fair, she had a, semi-automatic weapon pointed directly into her face.
I will say, though, I feel like half the reason they cast her, not that she was a bad actor, she was good, but she was especially good at looking scared shitless of BC.
I would be scared shitless of BC. He was a
like,
psychopath.
Did they? Yeah, but I mean, some people can't act. I was like, Jesus, you'd think they told that poor woman there was actually a bullet in there. Like, she was convincing.
Yeah.
I feel like BC was good at being what he was being, except that he always did this crazy eye thing that felt like, he was acting, right? So it wasn't affected. I was going to say, it felt affected because it was, but it was just so fake. It was like, okay, dude, you were the guy in high school who had a cape and fake vampire teeth. We get it. We all
I was gonna
get
say, oh god, this guy's a huge Joker fan.
Oh yeah.
God,
okay, so it's funny
is.
that it's funny you say that too, though, because during watching this, I thought for a minute that he sounded, the guy. Okay, in Batman 90, 89.
89.
Which
In
one
Batman,
is that?
That's the Jack Nicholson,
The first
Michael
Keaton
Keaton
one.
Got it.
So in Batman 89, there's a scene where you see young Jack Napier having killed the Wayneses. They had a very similar tonal quality. Like, I actually looked it up because I was like, you sound a lot like you have a dance with the devil in the pale moonlight.
Well, the thing is, though, I feel like in Batman, they were, fucking with the sound a little, whereas that's just this guy's
It's his voice, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, as we said before we started the episode, that man's real name is Frank Military, which is just not important, but amazing.
Is he in other
G.I.
things?
Joe was taken. He has 14 credits, I think.
Really?
Too much.
I looked him up, he's mostly a producer these days.
Oh,
That's good.
Oh, that's nice.
He,
work if you
produced
get it.
most of NCIS.
Yeah.
So he's sitting pretty.
I hated him in this.
Oh,
I don't think
actually
he
quite
acted
enjoyed him.
poorly. I just think
I don't think he acted. Granted, he overacted a lot of the scenes, but I think that was probably just because that was the character. The character was over the top crazy town.
Yeah.
And I know,
I don't even think he really was, though. I think he was just putting on a show. I don't actually think he was crazy at all.
he's a hostage taker
Well,
Yeah.
and a murderer, and he's telling jokes.
Ooh, wow. I don't know. I don't think committing murder necessarily means you're crazy.
Well, remember, he's
he's
also
asshole.
a dim, right? So he's got mental.
Well,
No,
but
he's a ghost.
no, he's not. He's a
He's
ghost.
he's a dim
I thought
ghost.
the ghosts were. I thought ghosts were a type of dim. Like I thought.
No, he's
No, I think...
I thought there was just
anyone-
dims and gimmies, and the gimmies were
I think the
not
ghosts are the
crazy
people in between who they just ignore and treat like they're not there.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, go. I think
And that's
it's
why they're
anyone-
stealing shit. It's because they're not given the opportunities of the gimmies, but they're too
the gimme
with
hasn't been
it to just
opportunities
be
either.
dims.
Yeah, the gimmies are
Well,
just
no,
people
I-
that aren't like.
Well, then the
mental.
fake opportunities, the promised opportunities. They're not even promised opportunities.
Yeah, I think the impression
just
I'm under...
criminals.
The impression I'm under is that a ghost is basically anyone who refuses to kind of integrate and ends up attacking other inmates there. So basically, anyone could be a ghost.
Yeah, and like the woman that the lady let slip through the cracks probably theoretically would be termed a ghost because she's just not in the system at all.
No,
Well, that's
That's
different.
not
She's
a
just
thing
not
at
in the
all.
system.
How are you? How do you know?
because they explained what the ghosts were.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember them ever explaining it. I remember them specifically saying, like, making it out that the Dims were like mentally ill and that the Gimmies were work people. But I never heard a definition
it's the same.
of ghost.
It was the same scene, right as they're about to leave. She goes, "Oh, watch out for the ghosts," and they say, "What's that?" And they explain what they are.
What did she say? I missed that.
They're people that basically steal from other inmates of the Sanctuary District.
Why not call them leeches? Why call them ghosts?
Because they were having
I didn't
fun
write
with
the episode.
They were having fun with slang, and they were having fun with Biddle fucking Coleridge. And I have this great quote from Ira Stephen Bear, because they're so fucking proud of this guy's character, and I don't know why. But the quote is, "I got obsessed with this hat thing BC had, and started writing until his hat became his whole personality."
Wow.
And I think that's the entire problem with the character, is that 90% of the personality is, I wear a fucking hat.
I have a hat.
Ben didn't like that hat.
I didn't like that hat. He looked terrible in that hat.
See, I think he was a good character because he felt real in that he feels like the kind of guy who, whoever he'd been beforehand, he'd kind of been a nobody. Now he's like the guy who's gonna be like, I'm gonna play as crazy as possible so no one fucks with me here.
The actor or the character?
Yes.
The character.
Both.
And like, he doesn't even know who he really is anymore. But at some point, he was this small kid who was obsessed with Errol Flynn. And that's still lurking inside there, behind these layers of artificiality he's put on himself to protect himself from the world.
That's all well and interesting. I think they tried to like overwrite the character and ran out of room or something, because the way that the writers put it, where I read, was he straight up fucking murders Bell in part 1.
Yeah,
And-
he's a bad guy.
And in part 2, it never comes up. Like, they never mention it. And they like to say that it's because, that's more a side effect of the world that he lives in. Which,
Well, I was gonna say,
I get that. That's great.
Not to draw a really realistic parallel, but there was recently a black man jogging who was run down by 2 white dudes and shot to death that nobody mentioned at all until their video resurfaced. In a way, that's one of the most realistic fucking things that happens in this episode.
That's not at all where I'm going with this, Caitlin, but thank you.
You're welcome.
Where I'm going with this is they act like it's not part of his character that he's a murderer. They act like it's a side effect of society, that's just a thing that he can be brought to.
I think that's kind of
it does
the point,
feel
though,
like
right?
It is. I just got tired of him because the way he was acting it, like he's the head hostage taker and he's bullshit at it.
Yeah, he does let himself get reined in pretty quickly
and
I think he's in
and by
over
the-
his head.
By the end of part
That's true.
2, all he's doing is he's like slinging one-liners, like, "Oh, I think Jadzia and I," he didn't know her name, obviously. I think that pretty lady and I really could have meant something. And he's like, "Dude, what?"
Yeah, I really don't think they knew what
What?
to do with him as things rolled on, because I don't think they wanted to make him into just a straight up psychopath that was murdering and
But they ran out of room, I think, even though he had 2 fucking episodes that they could have worked with him.
like there should have been
Well,
more
I think-
opportunities for Ben to like step in and prevent him from killing people.
No, there were enough of those.
There was only like twice, and the one time the guy was basically begging for it.
No, that's true.
I felt like we could have had, I know we only got like 2 of these, but I really didn't need the like Kira and O'Brien traveling back in time bullshit.
It was the same actors both times, right?
I assumed so.
society people and the hippies. It was the same man and woman.
I didn't check.
I assume so. I didn't check credits.
Probably.
At that point, the stakes were so serious in the 21st century that having comic relief moments felt inappropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Biddle. Fucking Biddle.
I mean, I don't know. I just thought they were silly. And I also don't think that, this whole approach that they had to finding them, it seems like they could have been a little more methodical about it.
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought so too. I mean, they know that Starfleet totally doesn't exist. Maybe see if anything important happened in any of the 10 to 12
Yeah.
dates
Oh,
you
okay. So
narrowed
there's
it
just
down
like,
to.
there was like a hippie party day, and there was a day, I mean, I guess they don't know how long
Plus-
they were there for. Like they could have been down
Yeah.
there for years and caused problems much later.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
they effectively do a coin flip for where they're going to go back
Yeah.
in time, and I'm like, that does not sound like O'Brien.
Yeah, and it's like
Kira at all.
okay, one of these days is some random day, and the other one was the day of the fucking Bell Riots.
Also, they're all like, oh no, we only have enough for 5 transports. It's like, come on. You couldn't throw that little thing around the sun.
Now, were they always
You have all the time travel you
were they
want.
This is a
always
different
beaming?
technobabble.
Were they always beaming? Like what it seemed. So when they finally beamed in, they beamed in. Was it the same time delta? Like in 2024, several days had passed.
Mm-hmm.
And when they find
To Sisko and Bashir.
to Sisko, Bashir, and Dax,
Yes.
had several days passed on the Defiant? If not, how did they happen to beam in at just that time? Wouldn't they have naturally beamed in to the same time that Sisko and Bashir and Dax arrived?
Oh, I didn't think about that.
I hadn't thought of that yet.
Not if you want an episode, they don't.
I do know that they did say that, they get down there, they realize it's the right place, and they say, oh, well, we're going to have to turn our badges off for a day until our next window to go back is. So we know that Kira and Miles were down there for at least a day, hanging out with Dax and Brenner, having sexy parties.
Okay, so that
they might have been sexy, but O'Brien was there.
That supports that time was still moving. So that apparently the Chronotons, they're sending you back a fixed interval of time.
Interesting.
Yeah, just weird.
Yeah.
Technobabble, techno it away.
Yeah, there was anything on the Defiant. This episode was just annoying because of the massive amounts of technobabble.
Yeah, I did one detail that they put into the scene in the 30s. In that they've had a boxing poster up on the wall, and it was the same names of boxers as the one as a sign that was in The City on the Edge of Forever.
Nice.
To remind you that Kirk and Spock could be here somewhere.
That's fun.
Well, they were in New York.
Yeah, but could be in this world somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, that is true.
I also noticed that they mentioned our baseball player friend.
I forgot his name. Buck Buckeye from the Lone Kings.
Yeah, and that's why Sisko decided to stay in the past.
I actually really enjoyed how excited he was when someone was it BC made someone made some reference about some baseball move or other, and it was awesome, and Sisko looked very happy.
The two guards,
they were talking about which team would have won.
I did decide to look up the '99 Yankees, which is what the guard was saying was the best.
But did you look up the
ever.
15 Kings or whatever?
They don't exist.
Damn.
But funny enough, because this was 94, 95 this episode?
95, yeah.
99 would be a year they would win the World Series.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
And the club included people that even me, someone that doesn't really know sports, knew the names of. So, because this had Jorge Posada, Jeter, what else? There were a couple names. Darryl Strawberry.
I only know Darryl Strawberry because he was in the Simpsons episode.
The Simpsons. Yeah, I mean, me too, but still I've heard of him. Roger Clemens.
All right.
He played for the Sox.
This isn't a baseball podcast.
It could
actually...
Please no. I'd leave.
It did end up being, they picked a year out of their ass, but they actually did find what was a decent
it was like,
Yankees.
Honestly, in the 90s, finding
a safe bet.
Yeah, it was a safe bet to assume the Yankees were going to be playing well. I mean, those are the Steinbrenner years, so they did well.
Doesn't Steinbrenner still owe them?
No one cares.
Nobody
I want
cares
to change topics.
Because nobody cares about the Yankees anymore.
True.
That's true. Oh, wait, before that, one little other real-world thing I wondered about. I noticed that Brenner asked Jadzia if her name is Dutch, and I was wondering if that was supposed to be like a reference to the fact that they had originally tried to get Famke Janssen, who herself is actually Dutch, to play Jadzia.
Oh, that's what's her name from that thing? Jean Grey.
Yes.
Yeah, X-Man.
Yes.
The X-Man.
And also, we saw her previously with spots in that episode that was kind of
the one where Picard and the Perfect Mate, was it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there we go.
Hang on. So when before I move on to the thing I was going to talk about, when Brenner is talking to Jadzia about her spots, where does he ask if he got them?
Japan.
Okay. Because only people in Japan get tattoos?
Well, maybe he thought they were they looked Oriental. I don't know.
Well, Japan has a very long history of very elaborate, finely detailed tattoo making.
Is that true?
Which actually, yes.
Oh.
Which ironically now the government is really cracking down on tattoo art there.
Wow.
It's a lot of there's a lot of tension because there's a long history of it, but then they pass some laws to be effectively ban tattoos without banning them by saying that to tattoo someone you need a medical license and this and that.
It's a crack down on what? What is the reason?
They've just decided they don't like it. A lot of public baths won't allow you to use them if you have tattoos.
I wonder if it has anything to do with organized crime, because that's I think a pretty big.
Well, yeah, certainly a big part of it is the big fullback tattoos on Yakuza. But just in general, it's causing a lot of tension. You know, people are against it. And then, of course, there's the issue of like, well, we want fucking tourists to use our bathhouses, but they're from countries where people don't give a shit. So it's like, what do we do? It's a whole thing you can read about if you're bored.
Neat. Yeah, when Brynner mentions it, and then he says, and she's like, oh, how did you know? Because she's just covering. And he's like, oh, because I have a tattoo. And I was like, where did that come from?
Japan.
Did he specifically go to Japan for his tattoos? Because I don't know if that was something I missed or what.
He had a full sleeve.
Yeah, Maori design, like any rich douchebag white boy in the 90s.
Which he actually basically says.
Straight up, he says it. Yeah, that's why I said it.
I had to have it removed so I could, live this life. You know about my life, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't have to get it removed. He could have just worn long sleeve shirts.
No, when he goes out and
he
plays
wanted to
tennis
get
and
into
golf.
the bathhouses, dude.
True.
What did everyone think about the guest star, Clint Howard?
I got so excited when I saw him. I was like, wait a second, is Clint Howard chasing Jadzia? Not you too, Clint.
I'm torn because literally nothing about his character was necessary,
No.
but hey, it's Clint Howard.
And
Yeah, I
like they
think that's where
needed
I
someone to
landed.
come in and just be a dim, and they're like,
Wait. Did they, though? Did they need
No.
someone trying to play someone with
No.
mental
No, that's
incapabilities?
the
No, they
thing.
probably
it was super
shouldn't.
problematic.
they probably shouldn't. But when I say they needed someone, they needed someone.
You know who Frakes originally wanted but they couldn't get? Who the role was written for?
Ron
William
Howard.
Shatner.
Iggy Pop.
Oh,
What's an Iggy Pop again?
So,
Rockstar.
Well, Iggy Pop will appear in a
will-
future episode.
Yeah. he
Oh,
will,
that's fun.
Yeah, that's funny.
But I can see Clint
like-
Howard playing this obviously disturbed person. I can't quite see Iggy Pop.
When you say playing.
Well, right, exactly, because Clint Howard doesn't look right.
Poor Clint Howard.
No, I mean,
Like,
he's a
but yeah,
weird
like,
looking
there's-
dude. He knows it.
Like,
It's his
there was
whole career.
There was nothing
true.
necessary about it. You know, she still could, like, they didn't need the side quest of getting her badge back.
I entirely
from him.
missed that she lost it again.
Yeah, but it was just like, yeah, again, it's like, it's pointless. That time could have been better spent on something else. But it's Clint Howard in one of his, I think, 4 or 5 Star Trek appearances.
Yeah, no, what would have been
12.
great is if
18 Star Trek
what would have been
appearances.
great would have been if when they, went into that house and they thought they found him, if like they pulled back that curtain and there was just a puppet there being operated.
He
I love
offers
it.
them some Tranya.
Yep.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So, yes, pointless, but hey, look, it's Clint Howard.
What
Yes,
was the
yes.
name of Balok's thing?
The
Puppet.
No,
First Federation?
the First Federation. Yeah, they should have dropped a First Federation reference in there.
Yeah, there you go.
I was
That's
trying
true.
to think of a
Because
way
he
they
was just
could
being
have.
crazy talking about space anyway. He totally could have.
Or they could have had like
What
one
a
of the
missed
kids,
opportunity.
one of the kids playing out in the street having a Balok puppet just in the background somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, man.
How many
Or it
times?
turns out he actually is communicating with aliens, and it's the First Federation.
Oh, that's cute. I like that. How many times did I write in my notes, please kill BC, how has no one killed him yet?
Seriously.
And yet you blink and you miss his actual death.
Yeah.
Because they don't even show the body, that no one even says, oh no, the guy without the hat now.
Yeah, and then,
Well, it's because who could even tell it was him without that
That's
hat?
true, the hat.
It was kind of, I did like, though, that, Ben could give a fuck, but he does look sad over Webb, which is
Oh
appropriate.
yeah, I felt sad over Webb, and I felt like they barely let that
Yeah.
settle either.
Yeah.
Like, Webb's kid was just there a second ago. The kid was around.
Yeah, but
you
now he's
met
got
him.
that stupid hat, so who cares about that kid anymore?
It is kind of funny that they're the Bell Riots and not the Webb Riots, because Webb was clearly the face of these events.
well, again,
Mm.
that's kind of where I was getting away from the idea that it was a paradox, because it's like, oh, well, obviously in this new timeline, it would have been the Webb Riots.
But they're still the Bell Riots. as far
Right,
as we
and
can tell.
early in the episode, Sisko explains that, oh, it's called Bell because, he was the face of the thing, and he died, and it's like, well, Webb was the face of the thing, and he died.
Yeah, but Sisko talked with that guard, and I think it was the guard that was like playing up the name Bell, maybe, or something.
Especially because, Webb obviously didn't want the hostages to be hurt either. It was admittedly Sisko who was more actively,
Yeah.
BC stand
Yeah,
down.
and he jumped in front of that bullet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy, the guard guy there, he always, he's
Vin?
been in 1,000 things.
And he's always that guy.
I always just see him as the neighbor from Gremlins.
I still need to see that
What?
movie. This movie keeps coming up.
Which one? Gremlins?
It's a classic.
I've also never
I
seen
thought the
it.
How have
first
so
one
many
is
people
supposed to
never
be good.
seen Gremlins? It's a classic.
I think
I have a lot of.
I was probably
weird-
like slightly too young.
I mean,
know
I'm
more like
sure
the-
I was too young, but I still watch it. My parents.
I
still show
was
it to
way
me.
too old when I watched it, and I fucking couldn't stand it.
Well, that's just because you haven't seen Gremlins 2, The New Breed yet,
Electric Boogaloo.
I thought it was
or
the
the
new
New Batch,
batch.
or whatever the fuck it was.
The new litter.
The
of Gremlins.
the new threat that is so convenient that everybody that was in the first movie just happens to be in the same location when this other situation occurs,
Yeah, sequels
including
are
the neighbor
unnecessary.
who was in the show.
But yeah, that guy, he's in a million things. He's always been old, and he's always just a hard
Yeah.
ass.
Here was my plot hole problem,
Yeah.
and it's really nitpicky, so I'm sorry.
No, I love it.
It's
I love it already.
We're on a podcast.
Oh yeah. So here's my first question: do the people on Deep Space Nine speak English?
I think they do.
Any or all?
Well, I'm assuming that Bashir
Like
and
Kira
Sisko
probably doesn't, right?
Yeah.
And Dax probably doesn't.
Well, we
So
don't
basically,
know.
how much
Dax
work
might.
is the translator doing?
Well, so here's the thing is, they don't, at least when Bashir and Sisko are first taken in, they don't have their communicators. And at first I thought, okay, they're from Earth, they probably speak English. But they speak 24th century English, not 21st century English. So I kind of feel like if that would be the equivalent of us talking to someone in the 1700s, it would be like you could understand it, but it would be like noticeably weird.
You could
Yea,
just
verily,
splice
my
in the
lord.
scene from Idiocracy when he goes to the hospital, and it's
I've actually never seen Idiocracy.
Okay,
but let's
oh
go
my
on.
god!
I do
that one you
recommend
do
seeing
have to watch.
Idiocracy.
No, I know. I definitely want to see it. I think I just missed it at the
If
time.
it's between Gremlins and Idiocracy, I recommend Idiocracy.
The thing is, they've never established firmly that the translator is in their badge.
Yeah.
So I always kind of assume they were in their
Yeah,
ear,
you can't.
to be
I don't
honest.
know. I
I
feel
why
like
I think that.
any.
Babelfish?
There you go.
Kind of, yeah.
Any kind of issue with the translator, you just kind of have to, right? Because you'd have
Nope,
the
not me.
same in situation with Time Zero and things like that where they're back in time.
All right. Well, I just felt like being a pedant.
No, that's fair.
I mean, shit, if you want to, very, very minor spoiler for an episode of season 2 of Discovery, but they made it even more complex when it turns out people on the same ship aren't speaking the same language ever. Because there's a whole episode where the translators go funky, and you find... Because I think the assumption up till this point has always just kind of been that, like, English became the default language of Earth, so at least all the humans were speaking English. But then it's like, oh, nope. French might have died, but German's still around.
I don't know. There's that episode of TOS where Uhura just starts speaking Swahili when she loses her memory, and then it all comes back out as
Yeah.
Swahili.
Yeah, so actually,
yeah,
yeah.
no, it's very inconsistent on the show.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
But a related issue that I had, and it's not really a plot hole, it's just why. So, of all the people on the Defiant to send back in time and possibly be stuck in the past because they don't know for
Yeah.
sure they're going to make it back.
That's very
Why
true.
did they send
Why did they pick
Brian
someone
and an
with a broken
alien?
nose?
Like, okay, we got to try
Why
not
did they
to.
send O'Brien?
Well, it's like, all right, we can't
Well,
fuck up
O'Brien,
the
because he's
timeline
disposable.
any more than Sisko has. Oh no, we'll just put some tape on her nose so you won't see that she's an alien. And if we get stuck there, she'll just wear the tape on her nose forever.
They were going to ask Quark, but that just wasn't going to work at all.
You wear a big hat like Spock would.
Jesus Christ.
She got her ears caught in a rice picker for sure.
That's what it
She
sounds
got her
like.
nose
Look,
caught.
if anyone asks about your... Yeah, that's right. If anyone asks about your nose, just say you got your head stuck in some farm equipment.
She got her nose stuck in a mechanical potato puller.
Yikes.
Oh, racist.
That's the Irish. You can't be racist.
Also,
against
really,
Irish.
you put your Irish
true.
guy in green, really, costume department?
That's your biggest...
Fuck
Is that
you.
your biggest problem with the horrible costume that he was in?
No, I just thought it was funny that they put him in green.
So what's interesting, right? So the rich people costumes in this episode were, trying to do like, ooh, here's what it's going to look like in 30 years. Here's how people are going to dress.
And it was so the 90s doing
But the poor people all dressed like pretty much normal people. So it's like one of the
Yeah,
first times we
Just
see,
a bit dirtier.
civilian clothing depicted semi-accurately.
Yeah, that's what
The-
I
the
thought
one-
that too, actually. I was like, wow, they actually kind of got it.
The one thing they were really stuck on was the idea that collars were going to go away, because no one's shirt had a collar.
Also, what was with the dual zipper jumpsuits that the guards were wearing? I thought that
Yeah.
was strange.
Yeah, that was weird.
Zip-
I
Zippers
didn't
are
even
the-
notice
But
that.
they had like
Zippers
a
of the
pair of,
future.
it was like a double zippered thing. Like, all right, I feel like
that the guards were wearing?
Yeah.
Like, we talking about Bernardo and Trump?
Yeah. It's like, which
Well, the
side do I
thing
want to
is-
get into my jumpsuit today? I think today feels like a left
Both.
day.
I kind of wondered, though, like, I feel like they would have saved themselves some money, just bought some jumpsuits and slapped insignia on them. So I feel like that for some reason, those might just be a real thing.
I don't know. I feel like they could have gotten jumpsuits and then made a third panel to go in between the zipper. But yeah, the
Oh,
insignia.
I see what you mean. I wonder if that's to, like, make it adjustable for size somehow.
Yeah, I guess if you have too small of a jumpsuit, you could make it bigger
Oh.
by adding a third panel.
Yeah, I can't find out why they are the way they are, but they seem to specifically be made for, like,
That's so
military
strange.
purposes.
I also thought that, though, that the insignia they were wearing were, like, comically large. Did anybody else have that thought?
Yes,
Yeah,
that is
they
true.
were really
they were
big.
ludicrous.
Well, I also wonder, though, if that's a product of them being something that they bought to alter. Like, there could have been some shit embroidered on there,
Mm.
and they just thought, well, we could take the old seam ripper to it, or we could just put these comically huge, like, punk rock rear of jacket patches on
Just
top.
to cover it up.
Just feel like they just fucking safety pinned them there. Like, there we go, we're the guards now.
Oh, maybe. Oh, what do y'all think of the police negotiator lady?
Oh, Detective, what's her
Yeah.
fuck
She had
there?
some bad hair.
Preston.
Thank you.
She was fine. I don't think she really laid an impression on me.
That
at
was
all.
that was going to be what I was going to say. Is that like it seems like she could have or should have been a more significant character.
Mm.
Well, I
Yeah.
just kind of wonder if all she had was one note, because it just feels like, okay, it's a hostage situation, you've got your top guy on it. I picture the guy who picked the wrong day to quit amphetamines from Airplane, because it just feels like, rolled up shirt cuffs and chain smoking and shit. Like, that's what I expect, and then it's just this totally blah woman.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what I was thinking. So it's funny that you mentioned I think that was Lloyd Bridges in that movie in Airplane.
Yes.
Because I was thinking, yeah, they should have had our main guard guy being the police negotiator instead of
Yeah,
a
he-
hostage.
I don't know.
Very
That's
much
a
has
conflict of
that.
interest.
Well, I'm saying he wouldn't have been a hostage in that scenario. They would have just had that actor playing the police negotiator.
No, but I loved him as a fucking
Oh, yeah, no, he did good.
GOP slug.
Oh, he was such a ball buster.
I hated him.
Who, Vin?
Whichever one wasn't
the guard?
Bernardo.
Okay.
Like, as soon as he stepped on or stepped in, and like they're in the hostage situation and he's just being a pain in the ass, I'm like, bro, you voted for Trump. You did.
Yep.
This is your fault.
I like when Sisko read him the riot act. Just a
I
really
did too.
another a very good Avery Brooks moment.
Yeah, no, Avery Brooks did really good in these episodes, I thought.
He did.
Also,
That's
the
great.
like every time fucking BC called him the new boy, and he's the little like
New
looks like I know
boy.
why you're saying boy, you son of a
Yeah.
bitch.
Ooh.
I was about to say, well, he said it to Bashir too, but Bashir's also
Wait, I didn't
not
see.
white.
Was BC the one that stabbed Bell?
Yes.
I don't. It was one of his.
I wasn't
okay,
sure if it was
yeah,
him
see, I knew it was one of
specifically
his
or just-
crew. I didn't realize
Yeah.
it was him. So I'm glad one of us.
I
noticed.
also wasn't
Thank you,
clear on
Ames.
how Bell died, because as far as I knew, he just got punched, and then they were like, "Oh no, he's
No,
dead."
he got stabbed
So
and died
I didn't realize.
instantly.
Yeah, even though
What
Bashir was like, I could have saved him. No, you couldn't have. He was dead. He was very dead, Bashir.
Super dead.
Oh, you know what's really
I
cool?
did.
The guy who played Bell was Avery Brooks' stunt double in Stand-In, and he also played
Oh.
Kozak in The House of Quark.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, cool.
Nice. I was gonna say what I liked about that scene was I know I've mentioned this before, but they seem to be sticking with this idea that Julian is from the Captain Kirk school of fighting because he kept doing more of those double fist blows.
I noticed that too.
I think that's just
At
how
least
his
Starfleet
first shot
teaches people
definitely
to
was.
fight.
That's the thing, but Sisko fights
Well,
differently.
Cisco learned
Like,
on the
he
mean streets
fights
of
like a
New
real
Orleans.
person.
You know, he's
Thing is, you're
Like, when
joking,
I-
but I think there is kind of a lot of crime in New Orleans.
in the
Not
24th
the 24th
century.
century.
Oh, yeah, no,
surely.
not in the 24th century. I was thinking more
Uh,
today.
Just fighting
I
jambalaya.
was thinking of 2024.
But I do like the idea that like Julian has, precise Starfleet training, and Sisko's just kind of a brawler. Like, they have different styles, which you wouldn't think they'd bother with, but they did, and I enjoy that.
Yeah, I think we learn later that Sisko was also a wrestler at the Academy, so he's got some.
Okay. What else? Anything else?
I don't know.
Thoughts? Feelings? Opinions? Very depressing episode, because it does still feel a little too real in a lot of ways.
More depressing the closer we get to 2024.
I don't know. It gives me hope for the time after 2024. Like, now I'm like, okay, well, if I survive,
oh yeah, that was the other thing. I was gonna ask.
Oh yeah, World War III.
So let's see. So we've got the 90s were the eugenics wars.
Yep.
2024 is this is the Bell Riots.
Yep.
World War III must come after that. Before that, when's the post-apocalyptic horror?
World War III is shortly before First Contact, which is the 20s.
Yeah, it was in the 60s. No, I thought it was the 60s.
60s?
I thought it was the 60s. Yeah, because I was thinking, maybe a young Zephram Cochrane is watching these events on TV.
He might be. That's true. Now that Brenner allowed them to put it on TV.
April 5th, 2063 is First Contact Day.
So it's probably like in the 2050s.
I'll probably be dead before that anyway, so...
Accurate.
Yeah, I also wonder, how much the history of Star Trek is in flux.
Oh, that's true.
Just because we go back in time so much, who knows when things actually happen.
Yeah.
But also, Cochrane is in a fairly isolated part of Montana. So a lot of the post-apocalyptic horror could be happening elsewhere in the world, and he just happens to be in an area that has been
that's true. Like
happily untouched by it.
The instant of First Contact isn't like, now we're in space, now we're doing this and this. It's going to take a while longer for, the Vulcans to catch them up.
Yeah, and Lily does talk about various factions and stuff. So you could have people running around in that weird, Q drug soldier outfit while the...
Well, yeah, I'm guessing, in the middle of Montana, there's no central government, but I'm sure in other parts, more populous parts of the country, there's, even if the U.S. government or whatever is not still around, there's certainly some local warlord guys that are consolidating power.
Yeah, so, I think it's realistic that both those things could coexist.
If you ever watch the show Revolution, it's horrible. But it's a terrible, terrible, terrible show, and they have that. They just keep adding new, factions throughout the series. Oh, it's so bad. And they're all named... Oh, they're named so bad. So they have the country divided up into these different sections, and one of the sections is, sort of the Midwest out to the mountains, and it's called the Plains Nation. And they go there, and it's all, Native American shit for... no reason.
Oh no!
I don't remember much of the
Plains
show.
Nation. That's what I assumed.
Well, yeah, but the premise of the show is it's present day, and society has collapsed, so it makes no sense.
Electricity stopped working, so society collapsed.
It makes no sense that the Native American population suddenly swelled,
right? Exactly,
and overtook as the primary society in that region.
It was just dumb. Anyway, sidetrack.
I wonder if they were suggesting that because theoretically they have a tradition of living from the land, so they were trying to suggest that they took to it better.
Maybe.
No, I think the writers are just being
Chakotay
lazy
was the first president
like...
of the Plains Nation.
I'd have to rewatch it to remember, but I don't want to rewatch it.
Yeah, I don't want to either.
No, that's fair.
Fair enough.
Get us out of here, Caitlin. Fly, you fool.
What's next week?
Oh, we're signing off?
I'm done.
I guess so. Nobody
else. It was a long pause, and we started talking about Revolution.
That's true. Let's get the hell out of here and be sad about this episode, and hopefully next week's will be more fun.
Speaking of next week.
Next week, we're going to discuss life support and Heart of Stone on the program, so tune in for that. I'm sure you already know one place to find us, but we'll tell you all your options. If you like what you heard, you can subscribe to A Star to Steer Her By on SoundCloud, Google Play, Twitch? What the fuck am I thinking
Stitcher?
of?
No.
Twitter?
Stitcher.
Oh.
Is that
I don't know how technology works.
I think my brain just stopped. Let me try again. Thank you for joining us for A Star to Steer Her By. Next week, we're going to talk about life support and Heart of Stone. If you like what you heard and you want to hear more, you can find us where all fine podcasts are sold. We're on SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find us on Facebook by searching A Star to Steer Her By. We are SSHB Podcast on Twitter and Tumblr, and you can go to sshbpodcast.com, which is our home on the web, but it's just our Tumblr. That's fine. We have cool articles. Read them. Oh, and
Disagree,
fanfics.
but okay.
Oh, fine. Whatever.
The fanfics are good.
The fanfics are good. I have been Caitlin.
I have been Jake.
This has been Chris.
And this is always Ames.
So
You got 2 rules of acquisition this week.
I have it. I have 2.
Do it.
Whoa.
Do it.
The 2-parter.
Rule of acquisition number 111. Treat people in your debt-like family. Exploit them. And rule number 217. You can't free a fish from water.
Can't you, though?
I've heard that.
That's called killing them.
Oh.
If anyone can, it's Ben Sisko.
Attica. Attica.
Attica.
Attica.
Attica.
Attica.
Attica.
That's what the fish are saying.
True.
Did anybody hear
I
what
was gonna
the
change-
Elon Musk called his kid? Did you hear about this?
Oh my
Kyle?
god.
No, Elon Musk just had a new baby.
No, yeah, she knows, but people are suggesting that it's pronounced Kyle.
Oh, what? Who said that?
The
The
internet.
internet.
Who
Elon Musk.
didn't Elon Musk
Okay.
come out and say how it's pronounced?
I neither
Who
know
is
nor
listening
care.
to him
He's
and
a fucking
Grimes?
moron.
He's a like that. That is the ultimate white person naming their child bullshit.
Apparently the state of California says they can't have it named that.
Good. God, I hate Elon Musk. He's such
the
a piece of
worst.
shit. Anyway, Ames, you keep trying to.
I keep
move
trying
us
to
along.
not talk
Please do
about
it.
bullshit.
What else is new? Poor Ames.